Welcome to Real Estate Investment Management Brokerage Development, LLC, construction, flashing related to windows, doors, and roof. Now, one of the most important things when you build a structure is to make sure the flashing is done correctly. So let me give you some examples of flashing. This is a piece of step flashing, which goes up a roof in layers, successive layers. And this is a piece of flashing, I'll show you the profile, that goes over some window or door trim. Notice it has a sidewall going up. This goes into the and behind the Tyvek or home wrap, and then it comes out over the trim here. Notice there's a 5-degree slope here, and this is called a kick out with a little bend, a hem they call it. So we designed that to fit exactly what we needed, and then we had a metal shop press it out and cut it. Notice this is aluminum, not steel, so it doesn't rust. This is another type of flashing. Sometimes if you can't get the back wall to go underneath and behind the home wrap and Tyvek, you have to do a what we call better than nothing application. So we would put this over the window trim or door trim and glue this, even though we couldn't get it behind the siding and underneath and up into the home wrap, and then we would glue it, and it's better than nothing. So again, it has a slope here, sidewall, a kick out, and then a hem. See that hem? Again, this one's aluminum. And then when you have board and batten, which we'll show you later in this video, you might have a board 8 to 10 feet high, but then you might have your wall might go higher, let's say 16 feet. So you have to put one board and then another board. In this case, we designed this flashing too. We put the board, nail it up, this goes over the board, and then the next board drops successively here, and then this flashing goes up and behind the home wrap, and there's a space. So, and then this is, we want to introduce this to you. Sealing or caulking is really important when you're installing this flashing as part of the system. So a lot of people build houses or have them built, and when it comes time to have siding done or windows, they don't think to insist that flashing is integrated correctly. A lot of inspectors will pass inspections for siding and windows and doors and roofs without proper flashing. Now, from the owner's standpoint, if you don't know any better to insist or don't know to look for it, you'll only find out there's a problem maybe 1, 2, 3 years down the road, maybe 5 or 10. And then there's a big problem because there's mold in the house and there's structural damage. And gee, the contractor is long gone. You've paid him or her a long time ago, and you're just subjected with this big problem. So let's look at this house. Great care was done to do the flashing correctly. And there's some very well done flashing schemes here. And it's all over the place. So this is called step flashing. So this is related to the roof, right? So you have the roof, and then when moisture or water goes down, it's going to have a tendency to go towards the house, right? So you want to prevent that, and you want flashing. So there's a piece here, then there's an overlap. I like to think of it as fish scales. Then another one overlapped, and so on and so forth. So I think the total length is about 8 inches, and you overlap them every 4 inches. Now notice this. So if the water is going to come down, the water or ice is going to come down, then it's going to have a tendency to go in towards a house, and then you want to prevent mold and water penetration. And this piece here is called a kick out. Now take a look at this. So the flashing is straight against a house. Now instead of one solid piece, this flashing is pieces integrated because the house moves. But anyway, then you get to this kick out here. And this kick out has a tendency to draw the water nice away. Now, here's a piece of trim here. And notice again, we have flashing here. So this flashing, this is trim flashing. This is the kick out. And then this is the flashing face surface with a 5-degree slope downward. And then this flashing back goes up and behind the home wrap or Tyvek, and then the Tyvek goes over the flashing, and then the shingles, or this is shake kind of shingles, go over that. And again, right here, there's another kick out. Now you can imagine how someone just might forget to do that. Now notice this flashing way up there, right where that soffit and roof meet the new roof. There's a kick out there. I don't know if you can see that. Now, to do your flashing on a roof, it might take an extra 4 times the time it would take to do a roof or windows or siding without flashing. So you can imagine how some contractor might skip it, give you a low bid, not do the work necessary. Now look at this. We have the top of the door trim. Now this was a spacer that was put in here at some point, so these shake shingles would go up. You don't want these shake shingles right against the flashing. You want a space so water and ice can drip outward, right? And then notice the work here, this flashing. So again, this flashing designed is a kick out, lip, and then a surface, 5-degree slope, and then up into the home wrap or Tyvek, and then the Tyvek goes over the flashing, the shaken shingles go over that. It's really good work, and it was hard to do. And then notice how we integrated some caulking to waterproof here. So if water did come here, gee, it would have a tendency to go. It's really good work, and it's hard to do. So let's come over here and look at this. Again, this is some trim for an exterior outlet. Again, there's flashing right here. And notice that goes up in behind the home wrap Tyvek. The Tyvek goes over the flashing backing, and then the shake goes over that, and it's trim. So now let's take a good close look at this. This is another piece of trim. We have flashing, the kick out, surface at a 5-degree slope, the back going up in behind the Tyvek home wrap, the Tyvek going over the flashing back, then the shake shingle over that, and then a space. Now that space is important so the water has a place to go. Now notice this. You see this. This is board. Again, we have flashing here, and that flashing goes up behind the home wrap Tyvek. The Tyvek goes over it, then the board, and then this. So you can imagine if the water comes here or got even behind the Tyvek, it would have a tendency to go out. Now this is a great example. This is that step flashing. So you don't want to have one big piece of metal here because a home moves with heat and pressure. So what you do, it's like fish scales. You lay a piece of this step flashing, then you put your shingle roof, then you put another piece of step flashing, shingles, roof shingles, another step, and so on and so forth, all the way up here. That's really good work. It takes a lot of time. Now notice this. There's some roof here, right? And then the water's going to have a tendency to go in, but this is a kick out. And then it goes into this valley flashing. Again here, take a look at this. This is some flashing here with a kick out. Okay. Just a side note, this is part of our maintenance scheme. We have mounted clips all over the house that are permanently embedded. These are stainless steel climbing clips that we embed here so the maintenance people can hook in so they can feel safe not to fall off. So let's get back to our flashing. And so this is a patio, or a deck, I should say. Again, we have the board here, and then what do we have here? Flashing, there's an 1/8 of an inch space underneath. Flashing goes up behind the home wrap or Tyvek. The board goes over, the wrapping goes over it, then the board, and look at that. So now we're going to take you to other parts of the house to show you 2 more applications of flashing and how it's integrated into the house. So we've talked about step flashing in the roof shingles. We've talked about different kinds of flashing related to door trim and window trim. Okay, now this is the front of the house. Now we have some window flashing up there along the window trim. See? So that we've seen before. Now let's take a look at this. Sometimes you get to a place, what you hope for is that you can take some flashing and have the back penetrate up and into and behind the home wrap. And then have the home wrap go over the back, and then there'll be a space. That's what you hope for. But sometimes you can't do that. It's not available because you're not going to cut up, if something's already installed, you're not going to cut up the siding and get up and into it. So then we have to deal with what's the best we can do. So this flashing was designed as the best we could do given an existing situation. So we have some trim down here at the baseboard, and we wanted some flashing, and so what we did was we designed a piece like this. Now notice it has a small back here compared to the 2-inch back that penetrates up into behind the home wrap. And why is that? And the reason is this flashing is not going to go behind the siding. It's just going to hit the face. And then what we did was we, after we installed the flashing, then we put some glue behind it, and it's the best we could do. It's better than leaving no flashing at all. Now we're going to take a look at this flashing in the sunlight. This is when you have long pieces of board and batten. So like this. See, this is board and batten. Now that flashing right there, it has kind of a small lip. So we had 2 pieces of 8-foot board meat with that seam. And there's a small lip. Now this is under a covered area. We wanted a bigger lip. We wanted a 2-inch lip like this. So what we did for this application, this part of the site. So now take a look at there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a, right about, it's tough to see. But anyway, there's a seam with flashing. So it doesn't look it, but those are about 8 feet of board and a seam. But we put that flashing with a 2-inch lip, and then it went under and behind the home wrap, and we put a spacer and another almost 8-foot piece of board. And how do we do it? We did it with this flashing. So here's some other flashing. This is that flashing where we couldn't put it behind the board, so we did the best we could. We glued that in there. So most of the flashing you've seen today has been aluminum. This is steel flashing on an edge. And again, it goes up and behind that board. Now let's look at this flashing. I don't know if you can see it, but I wanted to show you the flashing on that roof. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a series of kickouts. What that means is when the roof flashing was done, we were worried about water going towards the house. And so we embedded into the roof kickouts directing water outward in 1, 2, 3 places. It's really good work. Took a long time, but it's worth it. Now notice the flashing is, you can see that lighting mount. There's flashing above the plate. Above that window there's flashing. There's a roof vent and there's flashing there. Now, let's take a look at this. This is another better than nothing flashing. We couldn't put this flashing up and behind this this wrap here. So what did we do? We put silicone and we glued it here and put a flashing here, and then we'll put brick over it. So it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Better than having no flashing. So this is real estate investment, management, brokerage, development, construction, installing flashing, different types like step flashing, window and door flashing, board and batten flashing. We hope this description of flashing and its uses related to windows and doors and roofs help give you ideas on how to integrate flashing into your house to make it more watertight, less susceptible to mold and structural damage. Thank you.